Hello there, and welcome to Sleepy History Today. This is a calm and gentle harbor for the mind, a quiet place where the cares of the day can slip away and your thoughts can drift softly toward rest. Tonight, we are going to follow the tall ships out across the open sea into the great age of exploration and discovery. More than 500 years ago, brave and restless sailors set out from Europe to map the unknown corners of the world. They crossed vast and uncharted oceans in small wooden ships, seeking new lands, new riches, and new routes to distant shores. In doing so, they connected the continents and changed the whole world forever. Tonight, we will wander softly through that bold and adventurous age. This is a story of billowing sails and endless horizons, of daring captains who steered into seas no European had ever crossed. It is a tale of a westward voyage that stumbled upon a new world, of a single ship that sailed all the way around the globe, and of a sea route that finally reached the spices of the East. It is a world of caravels and old maps, of distant islands and great discoveries, of wonder, courage, and the high price of ambition. Behind the calm of the open ocean lies one of the most remarkable and far-reaching ages the world has ever known. We will wander through the search for a route to the riches of the East, the discovery of a new world across the sea, and the first great voyage around the entire globe. We will see the ships and the brave sailors, the lands they reached, and the way they remade the world. So let us set out softly together into the bold and far-reaching age of exploration. If you find a little peace in these slow journeys through the past, I would gently invite you to like, to subscribe, or to leave a quiet thought below. It helps others find their way to this calm place too, one sleepy soul at a time. But for now, there is nothing at all you need to do. Let your shoulders soften and your breathing slow. Let the cares of the day drift away, like the last warm light of evening fading softly over a wide and open ocean as the sea grows calm and meets the quiet, star-filled sky, as we explore 100 sleepy facts about the age of exploration. Let's begin. The Age of Exploration was the remarkable period when European sailors first set out to explore the wider world by sea. It lasted for roughly 2 centuries, beginning in the early 1400s and continuing well into the 1600s. During this bold era, brave navigators sailed far beyond the familiar waters they had always known. They charted unknown coastlines, crossed vast and empty oceans, and reached lands that Europe had never seen. In just a few generations, the map of the known world was expanded almost beyond recognition. It was one of the great turning points in the long history of humankind. The great wave of exploration was driven above all by the search for valuable spices and riches. In those days, spices such as pepper, cinnamon, and cloves were worth almost their weight in gold. These precious goods came from distant lands in the Far East, carried slowly along difficult overland routes. European merchants longed to find a direct sea route that would bring these riches more cheaply. The dream of reaching the spice markets of Asia by sea inspired voyage after daring voyage. In this way, the humble desire for spices helped to remake the entire world. The hunger for a sea route to the east grew even stronger after a great city fell in the year 1453. When Constantinople was captured by the Ottoman Turks, the old trade routes to Asia became harder and costlier to use. The flow of spices and silks through the eastern lands was now controlled by powerful rivals. European nations grew desperate to find their own way to the riches of the East. This pressure pushed them to look outward, toward the open and uncharted oceans. So, a famous fall in the East helped to launch a great age of sailing in the West. The small nation of Portugal became the first great pioneer of ocean exploration. Sitting on the edge of the Atlantic, the Portuguese looked outward to the sea for their future. They began to sail southward, slowly exploring the long and mysterious coastline of Africa. Year after year, their captains pushed a little further into waters no European had charted. They hoped to find a way around the great continent and onward to the riches of India. In this patient, daring effort, the age of exploration truly began. Much of Portugal's early success was inspired by a royal prince devoted to the sea. He is remembered by history as Prince Henry the Navigator, though he rarely sailed himself. Instead, he gathered mapmakers, shipbuilders, and skilled captains and sent them out to explore. He sponsored voyage after voyage down the unknown coast of Western Africa. Under his guidance, Portuguese sailors improved their ships, their maps, and their knowledge of the sea. His vision helped to lay the foundation for the great age of discovery to come. One of the first great breakthroughs came when a Portuguese captain rounded the southern tip of Africa. His name was Bartolomeu Dias, and his bold voyage opened the way to the Indian Ocean. The stormy cape he sailed around came to be known as the Cape of Good Hope. For the first time, Europeans had found a sea passage leading from the Atlantic toward the east. It was a thrilling and hopeful moment in the long quest for a route to India. The doorway to the riches of Asia had finally been pushed open. A few years later, another Portuguese captain completed the great dream of a sea route to India. His name was Vasco da Gama, and he sailed all the way from Portugal to the shores of India. Rounding Africa and crossing the Indian Ocean, he reached the rich ports of the East at last. It was an astonishing achievement, the first sea voyage from Europe all the way to India. The cargo of spices he carried home was worth many times the cost of the journey. With this single voyage, a direct sea road to the riches of Asia was finally open. The success of Vasco da Gama brought enormous wealth and power to little Portugal. With a direct sea route to the east, the Portuguese could trade for spices without costly middlemen. They built a chain of trading posts and forts, stretching all the way around Africa to Asia. Soon, Portuguese ships dominated the rich spice trade across the Indian Ocean. This small nation had become one of the wealthiest and most powerful in all of Europe. Its daring sailors had shown the world what the open ocean could offer. While Portugal sailed east around Africa, a bold new idea was taking shape elsewhere. Some sailors began to wonder whether one might reach Asia by sailing west across the Atlantic. Since the world was a sphere, they reasoned, sailing west should eventually lead to the east. The greatest champion of this daring plan was a determined captain named Christopher Columbus. He believed he could reach the riches of Asia by crossing the open Atlantic Ocean. His confidence in this bold idea would soon change the course of history forever. It is worth pausing to correct a very common myth about this great age. Many people imagine that sailors of the time feared the world was flat and that ships might fall off its edge. In truth, educated Europeans had known for many centuries that the Earth was a sphere. The real questions were how large the Earth was and what lay across the unknown ocean. Columbus himself believed, quite wrongly, that the world was much smaller than it really is. He thought Asia lay just a few weeks of sailing to the west, across an empty sea. For many years, Columbus searched for a king or queen willing to pay for his daring voyage. He was turned away again and again, for many experts thought his plan was foolish. At last, the rulers of Spain, Ferdinand and Isabella, agreed to support his bold expedition. They hoped that a successful voyage might bring great wealth and glory to their kingdom. After years of patient effort, Columbus finally had the ships and the backing he needed. In the late summer of 1492, he prepared to sail into the unknown. Columbus set sail across the Atlantic with a small fleet of just 3 ships. These vessels were named the Nina, the Pinta, and the larger Santa Maria. They were small, wooden ships, crowded and far from comfortable for a long ocean voyage. With a few dozen men aboard, Columbus pointed his little fleet toward the open western sea. Ahead lay weeks of sailing across waters no European had ever crossed before. It was a journey into the complete and frightening unknown. The voyage across the Atlantic was long, tense, and filled with growing fear. Week after week passed with nothing but endless ocean stretching in every direction. The frightened crew began to grumble, worried they would never see land again. Columbus urged them onward, promising that land lay just ahead over the horizon. Finally, after more than 2 months at sea, a lookout spotted land in the distance. A wave of joy and relief swept through the weary and frightened sailors. The land Columbus had reached was an island in the warm waters of the Caribbean. He was certain that he had arrived at the outer islands of Asia, near India or China. Because of this mistaken belief, he called the native people he met the Indians. In truth, he had stumbled upon a vast new world that Europe had never imagined. He had not reached Asia at all, but the edge of 2 entire unknown continents. Yet Columbus had no idea of the true magnitude of what he had found. Remarkably, Columbus went to his grave still believing he had reached Asia. Across 4 separate voyages, he explored more of the Caribbean and the nearby coasts. Again and again, he insisted that these lands were the outer fringes of the East. He never accepted that he had actually discovered an entirely new part of the world. To the end of his life, he clung stubbornly to his original and mistaken idea. It would be left to others to understand the true meaning of his discovery. The voyages of Columbus had a sudden and enormous impact upon Europe. News of strange new lands across the ocean spread quickly through the courts and ports. Suddenly, the western horizon was no longer empty, but full of possibility and promise. Other adventurers and nations rushed to sail west and claim a share of the discovery. The quiet Atlantic had become a great highway leading to a whole new world. Europe would never look at the wider world in the same way again. There is a curious twist in the story of how the New World got its name. Although Columbus reached it first, the new continents were not named after him. Instead, they were named after another Italian explorer called Amerigo Vespucci. Unlike Columbus, Vespucci realized that these lands were not part of Asia at all. He understood that they formed a separate and entirely new continent. In his honor, mapmakers gave the New World the name we still use today, America. The arrival of Columbus marked the beginning of a long meeting between 2 separate worlds. For the first time, the peoples of Europe and the Americas came into lasting contact. This encounter would bring enormous and lasting changes to both sides of the ocean. Sadly, it would also bring great suffering and hardship to the native peoples of the Americas. The meeting of these 2 worlds was one of the most important moments in all of history. From it, the modern, connected world would slowly begin to take shape. After Columbus, the great race to explore the new lands quickly gathered pace. Captains from many nations set out to chart the coastlines of the Americas. One explorer, sailing for England, reached the shores of North America and claimed them. Others probed the coasts of South America, slowly mapping this vast and unknown world. Bit by bit, the true shape of these new continents began to appear on the maps. The age of discovery was now in full and thrilling flow. As explorers studied the new lands, they slowly realized the truth about them. These were not the islands of Asia, but 2 enormous and previously unknown continents. This realization changed the way Europeans understood the entire world. The globe was far larger and far more wonderful than anyone had ever imagined. A whole new hemisphere had been added to the map of the known world. The discovery filled people with both wonder and a burning desire to explore further. As Spain and Portugal both rushed to claim new lands, they soon found themselves in fierce competition. To avoid a war between them, the two nations agreed to divide the entire unexplored world between themselves. With the blessing of the Pope, they drew an imaginary line down the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Everything to the east of that line would belong to Portugal, and everything to the west to Spain. This remarkable agreement is known to history as the famous Treaty of Tordesillas. In one stroke, two small nations had boldly divided the whole unknown world between them. A few years after Columbus, a Spanish explorer made another astonishing discovery in the Americas. His name was Vasco Núñez de Balboa, and he led an expedition across the narrow land of Panama. After a difficult march through dense jungle, he climbed a high ridge and gazed outward. There, stretching to the horizon, lay a vast and shimmering ocean no European had seen. He had become the first European ever to look upon the great Pacific Ocean from the Americas. This breathtaking sight revealed that yet another enormous sea lay beyond the New World. The discovery of the Pacific inspired an even more daring dream in the mind of one captain. His name was Ferdinand Magellan, and he believed he could sail all the way around the world. His bold plan was to sail west, around the bottom of the Americas, and onward across the Pacific. In this way, he hoped to reach the Spice Islands of the East by traveling ever westward. No one had ever attempted such an immense and dangerous voyage before. It was perhaps the most ambitious sea journey ever imagined up to that time. In the autumn of 1519, Magellan set out with a fleet of 5 small ships. Aboard them sailed a crew of roughly 270 hopeful men. They carried supplies for a long voyage into seas that no European had ever charted. Ahead of them lay storms, hunger, mutiny, and dangers they could scarcely imagine. The little fleet pointed its bows toward the southwest and the great unknown ocean. So began one of the most epic and perilous voyages in the whole of human history. Magellan's voyage was filled with terrible hardships almost from the very beginning. Fierce storms battered the small ships as they crept down the long coast of South America. Some of the crew rose up in mutiny, and discipline had to be harshly restored. At last, near the cold southern tip of the continent, they found a passage through to the other side. This twisting, stormy channel is still known today as the Strait of Magellan. Beyond it lay the vast and unknown waters of the Pacific Ocean. When Magellan's fleet finally entered the Pacific, the sailors faced their greatest trial of all. The ocean proved to be far, far larger than anyone had ever imagined. For more than 3 months, the ships sailed on without sighting any land at all. Their food rotted and ran out, their water turned foul, and many men sickened and died. The crew suffered terribly from hunger and the dreaded disease called scurvy. It was a crossing of almost unimaginable length, suffering, and despair. Tragically, the great Captain Magellan did not live to complete his own historic voyage. After crossing the Pacific at last, the fleet reached the islands we now call the Philippines. There, Magellan became involved in a local conflict and was killed in a battle on the shore. The leader, who had dreamed of sailing around the world, would never see it finished. Yet his surviving men were determined to carry on the great voyage without him. The dream of circling the globe did not die with its courageous captain. After Magellan's death, command of the weary expedition eventually passed to a captain named Elcano. Under his leadership, the few remaining sailors pressed on toward home across the Indian Ocean. They rounded the southern tip of Africa, the same cape the Portuguese had charted years before. Battered and exhausted, they finally limped back into a Spanish harbor at last. In doing so, they had completed the first voyage all the way around the world. It was a triumph won at a staggering and heartbreaking cost. Of the 5 proud ships that had set out, only a single battered vessel returned. Of the roughly 270 men who had sailed, only about 18 came home. The lone surviving ship, named the Victoria, had sailed entirely around the globe. These few exhausted survivors had achieved something that had never been done before. They had proven, beyond any doubt, that all the world's great oceans were connected. Their incredible journey forever changed how humanity understood the size and shape of the Earth. The first voyage around the world stands as one of the greatest feats in all of history. It proved once and for all that the Earth was a single connected globe of land and sea. It revealed the true and astonishing vastness of the Pacific Ocean. It showed that a ship could, in principle, sail to any shore on the entire planet. The achievement filled Europe with wonder at the sheer scale of the world. The age of exploration had reached a breathtaking and unforgettable peak. None of these great voyages would have been possible without a remarkable new kind of ship. The Portuguese and Spanish developed a small, fast, and nimble vessel known as the caravel. Unlike older ships, the caravel could sail well even against the wind, using special triangular sails. This made it far better, suited to exploring unknown coasts and crossing open oceans. Though small by modern standards, these sturdy ships carried sailors across the entire world. The humble caravel was truly one of the great tools of the age of exploration. To find their way across the trackless ocean, sailors relied on a handful of clever instruments. The magnetic compass allowed them to know which direction they were sailing, even out of sight of land. A device called the astrolabe helped them measure the height of the sun or stars above the horizon. From these measurements, a skilled navigator could roughly work out how far north or south he was. These simple tools, combined with great experience, guided ships across thousands of miles of empty sea. Without them, the great voyages of discovery could never have succeeded. Even with their instruments, navigating the open ocean was as much an art as a science. Sailors watched the sun by day and the stars by night to judge their course. They estimated their speed and direction in a careful method known as dead reckoning. They studied the winds, the currents, and the color of the water for precious clues. A single mistake could send a ship hundreds of miles off course into unknown danger. The best navigators were treasured almost as much as the captains themselves. The maps of the age of exploration tell their own fascinating story. Early maps were full of blank spaces where no European had ever traveled. Mapmakers sometimes filled these empty regions with drawings of strange beasts and sea monsters. As explorers returned with new knowledge, the maps were slowly redrawn and corrected. Each voyage added new coastlines, islands, and details to the growing picture of the world. Over time, the mysterious blank spaces of the map began to fill with real lands. The sea itself was perhaps the greatest danger that explorers faced. Sudden and violent storms could shatter a ship or drive it onto hidden rocks. Hidden reefs and shoals lurked beneath the waves, ready to tear open a wooden hull. There were no accurate charts of these unknown waters to warn the sailors of danger. Far from any friendly port, a damaged ship might be lost with all its crew. Every voyage into the unknown was a gamble against the immense power of the sea. Life aboard these small wooden ships was hard, cramped, and often miserable. Dozens of men were packed together into a tiny vessel for many long months. There was little privacy, little comfort, and almost no protection from the weather. The decks were often wet, the quarters were dark, and rats were common companions. The sailors worked in shifts day and night, in calm seas and raging storms alike. It took a hardy and brave soul indeed to endure such a difficult life at sea. The food eaten by sailors on long voyages was simple, dull, and far from fresh. A hard, dry biscuit, known as hardtack, was a staple of nearly every meal. They also ate salted meat and dried fish, which could be stored for many months. As the weeks passed, the food often grew stale, moldy, or crawling with weevils. Fresh fruit and vegetables quickly ran out, and clean water turned foul in its barrels. For sailors on a long voyage, mealtime offered little pleasure and even less variety. The lack of fresh food led to a terrible and mysterious illness among the sailors. This dreaded sickness was called scurvy, and it struck crews on nearly every long voyage. Its victims grew weak and exhausted. Their gums bled, and their old wounds reopened. On some voyages, scurvy killed more sailors than storms, shipwrecks, or battle combined. At the time, no one understood that the disease was caused by a lack of fresh food. It would be centuries before sailors learned that fruit could prevent this dreadful illness. The crews who manned these ships were a mixture of brave, desperate, and adventurous men. Some were experienced sailors, while others were soldiers, criminals, or dreamers seeking their fortune. They signed on for voyages that might last for many months or even several years. Many of them would never return home, lost to disease, shipwreck, or distant battles. Yet there was never any shortage of men willing to risk everything for adventure and riches. The lure of unknown lands and untold wealth was simply too strong to resist. It is worth remembering what drove these men to face such terrible dangers. Many sought riches, dreaming of the gold, spices, and treasures of distant lands. Others were inspired by faith, hoping to spread their religion to new peoples. Still others were driven by sheer curiosity and the longing to see what lay beyond the horizon. These mixed motives of gold, faith, and glory together fueled the great age of exploration. They pushed ordinary men to sail bravely into the greatest unknown of their time. In the wake of the explorers came a new and harder breed of adventurer, the conquistadors. These were Spanish soldiers and fortune seekers who marched into the New World in search of riches. Armed with steel weapons, guns, and armor, they were a formidable and ruthless force. They sought gold, glory, and new lands to claim for the crown of Spain. Their arrival would bring dramatic and often tragic change to the peoples of the Americas. The age of peaceful discovery was giving way to an age of conquest. One of the most famous of these conquistadors was a bold leader named Hernán Cortés. With only a small force, he marched into the heart of the mighty Aztec Empire in Mexico. Through a mixture of daring, cunning, and alliances with rival peoples, he toppled that great civilization. The fall of the powerful Aztec Empire stunned the entire world of its day. It showed how dramatically the balance of power had shifted with the coming of the Europeans. The conquest also brought great suffering to the peoples of that ancient land. Another conquistador, named Francisco Pizarro, achieved a similar feat far to the south. With a tiny band of men, he overthrew the vast and mighty empire of the Inca. The Inca had built a magnificent civilization high in the mountains of South America. Yet Pizarro, through boldness and treachery, brought that great empire crashing down. The fall of the Inca handed Spain control over an enormous and wealthy territory. These conquests opened up vast new lands and riches to the Spanish crown. The remarkable speed of these conquests was due to several powerful advantages. The Spanish carried steel swords, guns, and armor that the native peoples had never seen. They also rode horses, fearsome animals entirely unknown in the Americas. Perhaps most importantly, they unknowingly carried deadly diseases against which the natives had no defense. They also formed alliances with peoples who resented the rule of the great empires. Together, these factors allowed small bands of men to topple mighty civilizations. Above all else, the conquistadors were driven by a relentless hunger for gold. Tales spread of a fabled city of gold, hidden somewhere in the unexplored interior. This legendary place of endless riches became known as El Dorado, the Golden One. Countless expeditions set out into jungles and mountains in search of this golden dream. Though El Dorado was never found, the legend lured many men to their deaths. The dream of unimaginable treasure was one of the great forces of the age. While the city of gold proved to be a myth, the Americas did hold immense riches. In the mountains of South America, the Spanish discovered vast deposits of silver. One mountain in particular yielded an almost unbelievable fortune in silver ore. Enormous quantities of this silver were shipped across the ocean back to Spain. This flood of treasure made Spain the richest and most powerful nation in Europe. The wealth of the New World reshaped the economies of the entire continent. The meeting of the two worlds set off a vast exchange of living things across the ocean. Historians call this Great Transfer the Columbian Exchange, and it changed the world forever. Plants, animals, foods, and diseases now traveled between the Old World and the New. This exchange transformed the diets, the farms, and the lives of people on both sides. Few events in history have so deeply altered the everyday lives of ordinary people. Its effects are still all around us, even on our dinner tables today. Many of the foods we now think of as ordinary came from the New World during this exchange. The humble potato, the tomato, and maize, or corn, all came from the Americas. So too did chocolate, chili peppers, and many kinds of beans and squash. These new foods spread across Europe, Africa, and Asia, transforming cooking everywhere. The potato in particular would one day help feed millions of people in Europe. It is remarkable to think how much of our food was unknown before this age. The exchange flowed in both directions, carrying Old World gifts to the Americas as well. Europeans brought wheat, rice, sugar, and many familiar farm animals across the sea. They introduced cattle, pigs, sheep, and chickens to lands that had never known them. Most importantly of all, they brought the horse to the continents of the Americas. These new plants and animals would reshape the landscapes and the lives of the New World. The exchange remade both halves of the globe in ways no one could have foreseen. The arrival of the horse had an especially dramatic effect upon the native peoples. Before the Europeans came, there were no horses anywhere in the Americas. In time, many native peoples learned to ride, and the horse transformed their way of life. On the Great Plains of North America, horses revolutionized hunting and travel. A people once bound to travel on foot could now ride swiftly across vast distances. In this way, a single European animal reshaped entire cultures of the New World. Sadly, the meeting of the two worlds also brought terrible suffering to the native peoples. The Europeans unknowingly carried diseases such as smallpox, to which the natives had no resistance. These sicknesses swept through the Americas with devastating and heartbreaking speed. In many regions, a great part of the native population perished from these new diseases. It was one of the greatest losses of human life in all of history. This tragic consequence of the meeting of worlds must always be remembered with sorrow. The age of exploration also gave rise to one of history's darkest chapters. To work the mines and plantations of the New World, the Europeans sought a source of labor. Tragically, this led to the cruel and vast trade in enslaved people from Africa. Over the centuries, millions of African men, women, and children were taken across the ocean. They endured unimaginable suffering, torn forever from their homes and their families. This terrible trade stands as one of the gravest injustices in all of human history. The meeting of these different worlds also led to a great mingling of cultures. Languages, religions, foods, and customs blended together in the lands of the New World. European, African, and native traditions slowly combined into rich and entirely new cultures. This blending shaped the music, the food, and the peoples of the Americas for centuries to come. From great tragedy and upheaval, new and vibrant societies gradually emerged. The world had become a far more mixed and interconnected place than ever before. While Spain explored the New World, Portugal built a great trading empire in the east. Portuguese ships sailed all the way to India, the Spice Islands, and beyond. They established wealthy trading posts at places such as Goa on the coast of India. In time, Their ships even reached the distant shores of China and Japan. For the first time, regular sea trade connected Europe directly with the far side of the world. The riches of the East now flowed to Europe along Portuguese sea routes. The arrival of Europeans in the Far East opened a new chapter in world history. Portuguese traders and missionaries reached the islands of Japan, which had been unknown to them. They brought new goods, new weapons, and new ideas to these distant lands. In return, they carried home silks, porcelain, and tales of the rich civilizations of the East. These first contacts began a long relationship between Europe and the nations of Asia. The whole world was slowly being drawn together by the threads of exploration and trade. Even as the main routes were found, explorers kept searching for new passages. One great dream was to find a northern sea route around the top of the Americas. This hoped-for shortcut to Asia became known as the Northwest Passage. For centuries, brave sailors searched the icy waters of the far north to find it. They hoped to discover a faster way to reach the riches of the East. The quest for this elusive passage would inspire explorers for generations to come. One of the explorers who searched for this northern route was a captain named Henry Hudson. He sailed into the cold waters of North America in search of a passage to Asia. Though he never found it, he explored a great river and an enormous bay that now bear his name. His voyages added new knowledge of the northern coasts of the New World. Sadly, on his final voyage, his own crew turned against him in a mutiny. Like many explorers, he gave his life to the dangerous work of discovery. As the age went on, other nations eagerly joined the great race to explore. France, the Netherlands, and England all sent their own ships across the seas. They explored new coastlines, claimed new territories, and founded distant colonies. These nations competed fiercely for trade, land, and influence around the world. The early lead of Spain and Portugal was slowly challenged by these rising powers. The exploration of the world had become a contest among many competing nations. As they explored, these nations began to plant permanent colonies in the new lands. Settlers crossed the ocean to build new homes and new lives far from Europe. Along the coasts of North America, small settlements slowly grew into thriving colonies. In other regions, Europeans established trading posts to gather valuable goods. The fur trade, in particular, drew many adventurers deep into the northern wilderness. These early colonies would one day grow into great nations of their own. Another famous voyage around the world was made by an English captain named Francis Drake. Sailing in the service of his queen, he became the second man to circle the entire globe. Along the way, he explored distant coasts and gathered great treasure for England. His daring voyage showed that other nations could now rival Spain upon the seas. He returned home a hero, celebrated for his courage and his remarkable achievement. His journey marked the rise of England as a great seafaring power. As the great voyages continued, the vast Pacific Ocean was slowly explored as well. Sailors charted countless islands scattered across that enormous and watery expanse. Each new expedition added more detail to the maps of this immense ocean. The Pacific proved to be far larger and more island-strewn than anyone had imagined. Slowly, its shores and currents became known to the navigators of Europe. The last great blank space upon the world map was gradually being filled. With each returning voyage, the mapmakers of Europe revised their charts of the world. Skilled cartographers gathered the reports of sailors and drew them into ever better maps. The strange and fanciful drawings of earlier ages gave way to careful, accurate coastlines. For the first time, people could see a reasonably true picture of the whole globe. These maps became precious and powerful tools, guiding the ships that came after. The work of these patient mapmakers helped to make the wider world truly known. Step by step, the great, unknown spaces on the map of the world were filled in. Coastlines that had once been complete mysteries were now drawn with growing confidence. the shapes of the continents slowly emerged from the fog of legend and guesswork. Within a few generations, the rough outline of the entire world was known. The age of the blank map and the imagined monster was finally coming to an end. Humanity had, for the first time, glimpsed the true shape of its own planet. Perhaps the greatest result of all this exploration was that the world became connected. For the first time in history, all the major continents were linked by regular sea routes. Goods, people, and ideas could now travel between distant parts of the globe. A truly worldwide network of trade and contact slowly began to take shape. In a very real sense, this age marked the beginning of our connected global world. The separate halves of humanity had been joined together at last. This new connection brought an enormous flow of trade and wealth across the oceans. Spices, silver, sugar, and countless other goods now moved between the continents. Great fortunes were made by those who controlled these rich new trade routes. Port cities in Europe swelled with merchants, ships, and the riches of distant lands. This explosion of trade helped to transform the economy of the entire world. The age of exploration had set the wheels of global commerce turning. Out of this age of trade and conquest grew the first great overseas empires. European nations claimed vast territories in the Americas, Africa, and Asia. Spain, Portugal, and later other powers ruled lands far across the seas. These sprawling empires brought their rulers enormous wealth, power, and influence. For better and for worse, they reshaped the politics of the entire globe. The map of the world was now being colored by the flags of distant European powers. The age of exploration also shifted the balance of power within Europe itself. For centuries, the great trade routes had run through the Mediterranean and the East. Now, the nations facing the open Atlantic Ocean rose to new heights of wealth and power. Countries such as Portugal, Spain, France, and England led this new and outward-looking age. The center of European power slowly drifted westward, toward the shores of the Atlantic. The whole shape of European history was changed by the call of the open sea. The great exchange of living things continued to reshape the entire world. Crops from one continent were planted and grown on the far side of the globe. Animals, too, spread to new lands where they had never been seen before. Foods that had once been local treasures now nourished people across the whole earth. This worldwide sharing of plants and animals changed diets and farms forever. In countless quiet ways, the world's tables were forever transformed by this age. Along with goods and crops, the explorers carried their religion to distant lands. Missionaries traveled aboard the ships, hoping to spread their faith to new peoples. Across the Americas, Africa, and Asia, they built churches and sought converts. In many regions, the religion of Europe took deep and lasting root. This spread of faith was one of the most far-reaching effects of the whole age. It changed the spiritual map of the world as surely as the geographic one. The languages of Europe also spread across the globe during this remarkable age. Spanish, Portuguese, English, and French took root in distant lands far from home. In many parts of the Americas and beyond, these tongues are still spoken today. Wherever the explorers and settlers went, they carried their words and stories with them. In this way, a few European languages came to be spoken all around the world. The echoes of the age of exploration can still be heard in our speech today. The voyages of this age greatly expanded the knowledge of the natural world. Explorers brought home countless new plants, animals, and wonders never before seen in Europe. Scholars eagerly studied these strange new specimens from across the seas. Knowledge of geography, of nature, and of distant peoples grew enormously in this age. The world was revealed to be far richer and more varied than anyone had dreamed. This great burst of new knowledge helped to inspire a curious and questioning spirit. In time, the age of exploration gave birth to the first truly global economy. For the first time, the markets of distant continents were linked across the oceans. A change in one part of the world could now ripple across to the others. Silver from the Americas, spices from Asia, and goods from Europe all flowed together. This vast new web of trade connected the lives of people across the entire planet. The modern world of global commerce had taken its very first breath. With the great voyages, the world itself seemed to grow smaller and more knowable. Places that had once been the stuff of myth and legend were now charted on maps. Distant lands that few had ever imagined could now be reached by determined sailors. The mysterious edges of the world were slowly replaced by known coasts and routes. What had once seemed an endless and unknowable earth now felt within human reach. The age of exploration had brought the whole world within humanity's grasp. The wealth that flowed from this age helped to fuel the rise of Europe itself. Riches from trade, conquest, and new lands poured into the European nations. This new prosperity helped to drive growth in towns, learning, and ambition. The nations of Europe used their new wealth to build, to trade, and to compete. Over the following centuries, this would help propel Europe to great global influence. The age of exploration laid much of the groundwork for the modern Western world. Of course, the legacy of this great age is a deeply mixed one. It brought astonishing discoveries, new knowledge, and the joining of distant worlds. Yet it also brought conquest, suffering, and great injustice to many peoples. The same voyages that revealed the globe also caused enormous and lasting harm. An honest look at the age must hold both its wonder and its sorrow together. It was a time of remarkable courage and curiosity, and also of painful and lasting consequences. Despite its darker side, the age of exploration left an enormous and lasting legacy. So much of our modern, connected world has its roots in this remarkable era. The global trade, the spread of peoples, and the shape of the map all began here. The foods we eat and the languages we speak were transformed by these voyages. We still live, in many ways, in the world that the explorers helped to create. Their distant voyages continue to shape our lives in countless quiet ways. Even the food upon our plates today carries the legacy of this great age. The potatoes, tomatoes, corn, and chocolate we enjoy all came from this exchange. Coffee, tea, sugar, and spices spread around the world during these centuries. Dishes that we now think of as ancient traditions were often born from this mixing. The Columbian Exchange quietly transformed the cooking of nearly every nation on Earth. Each meal we eat is, in a small way, a taste of the age of exploration. The famous explorers of this age are still remembered and honored to this day. The names of Columbus, Magellan, and Vasco da Gama are known around the world. Their daring voyages are taught in schools and retold in countless books and films. They have become symbols of courage, curiosity, and the human urge to explore. Whatever the complications of their legacy, their boldness still captures the imagination. These adventurers earned a permanent place in the long story of humankind. There is a timeless romance to the great age of sailing ships and discovery. We picture tall ships with billowing white sails crossing endless blue horizons. We imagine the thrill of sighting an unknown shore after months at sea. The age of exploration speaks to a deep human longing to see what lies beyond. It reminds us of the courage it takes to sail into the great unknown. This romantic spirit of adventure still stirs our hearts across the centuries. Today, the great voyages of this age live on in museums, books, and memory. Careful replicas of the famous ships have been built to honor the explorers. Old maps and instruments are treasured as precious windows into that daring time. Visitors marvel at how small and fragile the vessels of discovery truly were. These reminders help us imagine the courage of those who first crossed the seas. The age of exploration continues to fascinate and inspire people all around the world. The spirit of exploration that drove this age never truly died away. In later centuries, humanity would go on to explore the poles, the mountains, and the deep seas. In our own time, that same restless spirit has carried us all the way to the stars. The astronauts who journey into space are the heirs of the old sea captains. They too sail into the unknown, driven by courage and a hunger to discover. The age of exploration lit a flame of curiosity that still burns brightly today. At its heart, the age of exploration sprang from a deep and timeless human longing. People have always wondered what lies beyond the next hill or the far horizon. The explorers of this age simply followed that ancient longing across the open seas. They were willing to risk everything to satisfy their burning curiosity about the world. This same urge to explore is one of the most powerful forces in human nature. It is the very same spirit that still drives us to discover and to dream. The story of this age offers many lessons for those who study it carefully. It shows the astonishing things that courage, curiosity, and determination can achieve. It also warns of the great harm that ambition and greed can bring to others. The age reveals both the noblest and the darkest sides of human nature together. To understand it fully, we must hold its wonder and its sorrow in the same view. In its triumphs and its tragedies, the age of exploration still speaks to us today. There remains something deeply moving about the courage of the sailors of this age. They set out across endless oceans in tiny ships toward lands they could not see. They faced storms, hunger, sickness, and the terror of the unknown without flinching. Many of them never returned, vanishing forever into the vast and silent sea. Yet still they sailed, drawn onward by hope, by duty, and by the call of adventure. Their bravery in the face of the unknown remains an inspiration even now. In the space of a single age, these voyages utterly transformed the world. They revealed the true shape of the globe and connected its distant continents. They mingled the peoples, the foods, and the cultures of the entire Earth. They gave birth to the first truly worldwide trade and the first global age. Few periods in all of history have changed the world so completely and so swiftly. The age of exploration stands as one of the great turning points of the human story. When we look back upon the age of exploration, we see a world being remade. The separate worlds of humanity were joined together for the very first time. Maps that had been full of empty spaces were filled with real and known lands. The oceans, once barriers between peoples, became great highways connecting them. From this age grew the connected global world that we still inhabit today. In a very real way, the modern world was born upon the decks of those small ships. The achievement of these explorers, for all its faults, was truly staggering. With simple wooden ships and a few crude instruments, they charted the entire globe. They crossed oceans that had never before been sailed by their people. They added 2 whole continents and a vast ocean to the map of the known world. In a few short generations, they revealed the true shape of the planet. It was one of the boldest and most remarkable feats in all of human history. Above all, the age of exploration was the age that helped to create our modern world. The global trade, the mixing of peoples, and the connected map all began in this era. So much of the world we know today can be traced back to these daring voyages. The explorers opened a door that humanity has never since closed. For better and for worse, they set the world upon the path it still follows. Their distant age laid the very foundations of the connected world we live in now. In the end, the age of exploration remains one of the most fascinating chapters in all of history. It is a tale of courage and curiosity, of triumph and tragedy, of wonder and of cost. It carried humanity across the seas and revealed the true face of the planet. It connected the scattered peoples of the earth into a single, shared world. Its legacy, both bright and dark, surrounds us in our daily lives even now. The bold voyages of that age echo still across the long reaches of time. Among the many explorers of the age was an Italian captain sailing for England named John Cabot. Hoping to find his own route to Asia, he crossed the cold northern Atlantic Ocean. Instead, he reached the rocky shores of North America, far to the north of the Caribbean. His voyage gave England an early claim to lands in the New World. He found the seas off those coasts teeming with vast numbers of fish. His discovery would later draw many fishermen and settlers across the Northern Sea. The lands of the New World held many surprises beyond gold and silver. A Portuguese fleet, sailing for India, was blown westward across the Atlantic by chance. In this way, the Portuguese stumbled upon the vast coast of what is now Brazil. This great land fell on the Portuguese side of the famous dividing line. For this reason, Brazil became a Portuguese colony, unlike most of South America. To this very day, the people of Brazil still speak the Portuguese language. The true goal of so much of this exploration was a tiny cluster of distant islands. These were the fabled Spice Islands, the only source of cloves and nutmeg in the world. Hidden in the seas of the Far East, they were worth a king's fortune. The desire to control these precious islands drove voyage after dangerous voyage. Whoever ruled the Spice Islands could grow immensely rich from the spice trade. It is remarkable that such small islands could inspire so vast an age of sailing. In time, an astonishing trade route was opened across the great Pacific Ocean itself. Spanish ships began to sail between the Americas and the Philippines, far to the west. These great vessels carried American silver westward and brought back Asian silks and goods. This trade linked the Americas, Asia, and Europe in a single vast circle of commerce. It was one of the first trade routes to truly span the entire globe. Through it, the silver of the New World flowed all the way to distant China. The cold northern seas off the New World held a treasure of their own. The waters near Newfoundland were found to be astonishingly rich in codfish. Word of these teeming fishing grounds spread quickly among the nations of Europe. Soon, fishing fleets sailed across the Atlantic each year to fill their holds with cod. This humble fish became a valuable prize, almost as important as gold or spice. In this way, even the fish of the sea helped to draw Europe across the ocean. The sailors of this age set out into waters filled with frightening legends. Old tales told of giant sea monsters that could swallow whole ships at once. Sailors whispered of mermaids, sea serpents, and beasts lurking in the deep. Maps were sometimes decorated with terrifying creatures in the unexplored oceans. These fears made the courage of the explorers all the more remarkable. They sailed bravely into seas that legend had filled with terrible dangers. To cross the great oceans, sailors had to learn the secrets of the winds and currents. Over time, they discovered the steady winds that could carry them across the seas. They learned to follow great looping routes to catch the most favorable breezes. The Portuguese, in particular, mastered the art of sailing with the ocean's winds. This hard-won knowledge of the seas made long voyages far more reliable. Understanding the winds and currents was one of the great secrets of successful exploration. The age of exploration was helped along by another great invention of the time. The recently developed printing press allowed news to spread faster than ever before. Reports of new lands and daring voyages were printed and shared across Europe. Maps, too, could now be copied and distributed far more widely than before. This sharing of knowledge inspired still more explorers to set out across the seas. In this way, the printed word helped to fuel the great age of discovery. As knowledge of the world grew, mapmakers began to craft the first accurate globes. For the first time, people could hold a model of the entire round Earth in their hands. These early globes showed the newly discovered coastlines and the vast connecting oceans. They helped people to truly grasp the shape and size of their own planet. To gaze upon such a globe was to see the whole world as never before. These globes were proud symbols of all that the age of exploration had revealed. Taken together, all these discoveries gave humanity a completely new picture of the world. The map of the Earth was transformed from a thing of guesswork into a true portrait. People could finally see how the continents and oceans fit together across the globe. The world that emerged was far larger and more wondrous than the old one had been. This new understanding of the planet was perhaps the age's greatest gift of all. Humanity had at last come to know the true shape of its own home. When we gather up all these wonders of billowing sails and uncharted seas, of brave captains and tiny ships, of new worlds discovered and the whole globe encircled, we find in the age of exploration one of the most remarkable stories the world has ever known. Driven by curiosity, courage, and longing, ordinary sailors crossed vast and unknown oceans and bound the scattered continents together into a single world. Their ships have long since vanished, and their maps have faded with time, yet the connected world they revealed still surrounds us on every side. In the bold and far-reaching age of exploration, the tall ships sail on through our memory and our dreams, a lasting testament to the courage and curiosity of humankind. We have journeyed far tonight, through 100 sleepy facts about the age of exploration. We watched the first brave captains sail south along the coast of Africa in search of the East. We followed Columbus westward across the Atlantic to a new world he never understood he had found. We sailed with Magellan's weary crew all the way around the entire globe. We saw the small wooden ships, the old maps, and the hard and dangerous life of the sailors. And we watched as these daring voyages connected the continents and remade the whole world, for better and for worse, into the connected world we know today. If you are still awake, and you would like another gentle journey through the past, there will be another quiet video waiting for you on the screen. You can simply let it begin, and drift onward along the soft thread of history, wherever it may lead. And if this slow journey brought you a little calm and a little wonder, you might like, subscribe, or leave a gentle thought below. It helps this peaceful place reach others who are searching for a softer way to drift towards sleep. But for now, there is nothing more you need to do. Let your jaw unclench and your shoulders grow heavy and your breathing settle into a slow and easy rhythm, gentle as a calm sea, rocking softly beneath a sky of countless stars far out upon the quiet and open ocean. Let the world of the great explorers drift slowly into the night, the sails at rest, the sea grown still, the old ships sleeping quietly beneath the silent and starlit sky until another night. Imagine the soft and endless murmur of gentle waves beneath a drifting ship, and the deep and peaceful stillness of the wide and sleeping sea, as you too drift gently down into sleep. Sleep well, and good night.